Yep, Scotty, you did it again, buddy. Woo! Tell you what, after Coach Joseph and Jimmy Guilford, I really, to be honest with you, then I look across the room here and I see all this knowledge and power in this room. I'll be honest with you, I'm scared to death. You know, I mean, goodness gracious, I don't know if I got anything left to say, Scotty, but I appreciate the awesome introduction. I want to start out real quick by reading a Bible verse, Philippians 4:8. It says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." And I think, you know, we've heard Coach Joseph today and Jimmy talk about our purpose. And I always come to these things, man, I cry and I laugh so much, I don't know, my emotions are going crazy. And the reason why they are is because I'm trying to find my purpose. Because I've always thought that my purpose was creating and cultivating a good producer. Now, I know I got Jesus Christ in my life, and I know I got a wonderful family. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm under construction. And I think we all sitting right here in this room today can admit that we are under construction. Last time we were here, Benji Coombs talked to us about, are you on the team? And buddy, I thought before I heard Benji talk, I was like, man, I'm on the team. And then I listened to Benji talk that night. Wow, it was powerful. I found out that I probably really wasn't on the team until that night. But I'm on the team now. I'm wearing the jersey. Thank you, Benji. A couple of years ago, my partner came to me and he said, "Keith, I'm going to give you a book to read." And I said, "Well, Trippy, you know I don't read books. My dad's been asking me to get into reading all my life, and I just not a reader at the time. I was about 32, 33 years old. I'll be 40 in March. And so he said, "Man, it's not a real hard book to read." I was like, "Man, really, I've never read a book from cover to cover," and this is what he gave me: green eggs and ham. And he said, "Keith, look here. It says on the book, I can read it all by myself." So I thought, that's awesome. I can do it, man. He said, "Seriously, you can do it. It'll take 5 to 10 minutes. Just read the book and tell me what you think about it, because it's got a big meaning to it." So I read the book and I was thinking, man, I know my mom probably read me this book when I was a little kid, but I just couldn't really figure it out. But long story short, in this book, the character that's an unnamed character is asked to do something, which is eat green eggs and ham 12 times. And then Sam I Am finally on the 13th time convinced him to do it. So I say all that to say this. I want you to understand when we go over these steps to creating and cultivating a good producer that you have to be persistent. You can't just write these steps down and expect them to work. You have to do them 12 to 13 times before someone will eat the green eggs and ham. So today I want to talk real quick about who has taught me how to be persistent in life. Number one is my father. He's taught me to be very persistent in everything I do. He's sitting right there. Thank you, Dad. He's been my number one fan. And as Scotty knows, I get emotional. But one of the best friends in my life that comes to my mind is Scotty Elliott. Over the past, why did I do this? Over the past 3 years, Scotty has taught me through a very trying time to never give up. Stick with your values. You've taught me that, man. So I know it may not mean a whole lot, but I want to present you with this book. And it says, "To Scotty Elliott, one of my best friends in the whole world, I love you and your family with all of my heart and my soul. Love, Keith Little. Never give up. Make it happen." Love you too. So thank y'all. I'm done with the emotional part. It's time to get on to the business. Let's learn something, right? Okay, so the reason why I'm here today is to talk to you about creating and cultivating a good producer. I've got 12 steps we're going to run through pretty fast here so we can get to lunch. I know everybody is hungry and everybody is Probably tired of hearing everybody talk here, so let's just kind of talk about some things. In no particular order, you have to use your resources. You got to use the tools that you've been provided. So, for example, One Life provides tools such as the Academy, the Leadership Summit. They provide a back office for you. So not only do you have to utilize those resources, you have to encourage that new agent or the new onboarding agent to use those resources as well, because this is what's going to help that individual grow. And if they see you using these tools, then all of a sudden, because you are a leader, you're going to have a better chance to grow and cultivate that agent. So you got to encourage the producer to do the same thing. Things such as the office, the partners, co-workers, and your knowledge, and etc. So remember, they're going to follow your lead. So if you don't use the resources, you don't show up at the Academy, you don't show up at the Leadership Summit, you don't call One Life's office administratively or your agency's office, you don't use those tools, guess what? The individual that's behind you or in front of you is not going to use those tools either. So Brandon, let's go to the next step. You must recognize people. This is very important. You've got to recognize people when they do good. Zig Ziglar said, you should be a good finder. So anytime someone does something good, whether they're above you or below you in the hierarchy, you need to tell them that's a good job. And I'll give you an example of that. Just like I just told Scotty what type of influence he's been on my life with presenting him a book of Green Eggs and Ham, I've recognized him for his hard work because he has led me down the right path. So he's grown me, right? So I'm recognizing him for that. He recognizes me for my accomplishments when he introduced me today. So with your new agents, you got to continuously recognize those new agents and give them that good old pat on the back when they do good. You have to award them. You have to encourage them. And I just want to ask you a question here. Who wants to work for someone who does not show appreciation? Does anybody in this room want to work for somebody that does not appreciate you? Okay, amen to that. Next one, Brandon. You got to be respectful. And it must be known that respect is earned. No one in this room, including if Ken Parker was sitting here, he would tell you this, nobody sitting in this room is entitled to anything. You are not entitled. So get that completely out of your head. You see, if you think you're entitled and you want to build and grow a producer, guess what? All of a sudden they're going to be entitled, right? So you're not entitled, so you have to be respectful. You have to earn it by leading by example. Respect is not given to you. You're not entitled to it just because your name is Scotty Elliott or your name is on the building or your name is Keith Little and you've got 450 agents. It doesn't matter. You're not entitled. So you start over at ground zero every single time you do it. You have to build and earn respect. People grow with those whom they respect. All right, Brandon. You got to love what you do. You have to be passionate about what you do. You see how I feel right now? You see how I was crying? I've laughed and cried so much in this room. I can tell you, every time I come here, I feel the passion about my career. So when I or my company hires and trains a new agent, I have to be passionate about what it is I'm showing them, what it is I'm doing. I'm not just going through the motions, Eric, just to make sure, well, hopefully they get it. Well, they're going to get it because we can all agree it's not that hard. But why do I want to follow someone who's not passionate about what they're doing? Your actions speak louder than your words. So you have to deliver the passion. Your vocabulary. I'll tell you a quick story about Scotty real quick. And this don't have anything to do with this point, but first time I ever met Scotty, we were on an airplane headed to Switzerland. Some of you heard me tell the story before. We're headed to Switzerland. The first person I met was Jamie Moats. And Jamie kind of disappeared, and I looked back, I was looking for Jamie, and lo and behold, he'd done got sleepy. It's about a 10-hour flight. He'd done got sleepy. He went and laid down in the bed back there with the stewardess take a nap. And so the stewardess had to move him out of there, and I was talking to him. Well, Scotty Elliott just kind of pops up like a cupcake, and I'm listening to him. He's talking to me, and we're getting to know each other, and my wife's sitting there and everything. We get off the airplane, and Robin goes, "Keith, who was that?" I said, I don't know, honey, but I need a dictionary. So your vocabulary is important, right? You have to communicate. Remember that we work for the agent. The agent does not work for us. We work for the agent. So if we're going to cultivate that agent, we have to take that mindset to the table that we work for them. You have to use words like we, us, the team, the company. You have to avoid the words like boss, employee. No one is your employee. You are not anybody's boss. If anything, they're your boss. Who cuts your paycheck? Think about it. So we've all been guilty of these terms, but I'm going to encourage you today to get this bottom language out of your vocabulary, and that's boss and employee. If you can make a decision right now today that you're not a boss and nobody is your employee, and you can use words like we, us, the team, and the company, you're going to do a better job of growing and cultivating an agent. You have to be accessible. This is sometimes very difficult if you're very busy, but it's like Jimmy was talking about, or actually Coach Joseph was talking about. He said, I can send a text to an NFL coach, and they'll text me back. I text somebody that's way down on the hierarchy list, and they don't respond to me. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why that individual is way down on the hierarchy list, because they don't respond. They're not accessible. That NFL coach is, and that's the reason why he's up top. No one likes it when they cannot get in touch with their leader. If I can't get in touch with my leader, that is a frustrating situation. Fortunately enough, I don't have that situation because I can always get in touch with my dad. I can always get in touch with my business partner. I can always get in touch with Benji Crooms. I can always get in touch with Jamie Moats and Scott Glanton, Lee Mowry, and Scotty Elliott, to name a few. Those are my leaders. They are accessible. So I'm going to encourage you to be accessible, and you will watch that agent grow. Be willing to work. Don't ask anyone to do anything that you're not willing to do or you haven't already done. You can't ask somebody to take the garbage out in the office if you're not willing to do it yourself. So be willing to work. People are going to ask a lot out of you, so you just better be ready. But be willing to work with them. Be willing to do what needs to be done. No matter what it is, as a leader, to grow that agent, be willing to do whatever needs to be done. Okay, Brandon? Now, building future leaders. You want to make people better than you, okay? So if you can make people better than you, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a winning environment. They're going to be better. So work for that goal to when you bring somebody on to make them better than you are. If you used to be a $200,000 a year producer, then strive to make that individual a $300,000 a year producer. Don't worry about it. Coach them to break every single record you've already broken. Okay? Your records mean nothing. Their records mean everything, because that's what's going to make your team in the long haul. Because each agent that you hire is your future, because you're nothing without them. I produced in the field for over 9 years. And I probably wrote $200,000 to $300,000 as a personal producer. I wasn't the best in the country, but I consider myself right in there with the best, like Nick Poe back there. He can write $250,000 a year, and that's the reason why his team's growing, is because he can get out there in the field and show them how to do it. So you want to build future leaders. You want to teach them how to do what you've done. And my agent force has given me the opportunity to be able to come out of the field so I can help them cultivate their teams. Without the agent doing their job, I'm nothing. So it all goes back to that, watch your vocabulary, because you work for them. They don't work for you. And each agent is your future. You have to share your experiences. You have to share your testimonies. The One Life Leadership Summit is amazing, and the Academy is amazing at doing that. Tonight, you're going to hear a guy by the name of Brandon Lewis, and he's going to share his testimony. He's going to share his experiences with you, not to make him look like he's great, but to pour into you, Steve, so you can be better. You have to share your experiences. And there's a lot of you in this room right now that have a multitude of talent, and you've never got up here on this stage and shared your experience. You're hurting me. You're hurting the person beside you. Share your experience. This will build your trust and understanding with the agent, okay? Don't be scared to get personal with that agent, okay? It's okay. You're going to live with them. This career is completely different than being a corporate supervisor for IBM. And then you go in the workplace and they tell you, well, don't fraternize with the employees. Well, I can tell you something. If you don't fraternize with the employees in the final expense world, you're probably not going to go very far. Because these are going to be your best friends. These are going to be your family members. They're going to be the people that are most close to you. So you have to share experiences with them. If you don't share personal and business experiences with your people, they can't grow. You have to provide training. So not only do you have to be a mentor through sharing experiences, you have to be a teacher. So you have to teach, but not just teach, want to teach. I got to want Tommy Luker to get it. You know what I mean? Now, I might have to tell him 3 or 4 times, but I got to want Tommy to get it. I got to be a teacher. I got to want to teach him. So I got to provide that training, and I've got to set up these times because, you know, chances are Tommy Luker is probably not going to come to me and go, Keith, I can't wait. When is the next underwriting meeting? He's not going to do that, right? So I had to say, guys, we're going to have an underwriting meeting on Friday. I need everybody to be there. You must provide the training. And there's an old saying that goes, it says, if you give a man a fish, they'll eat for a while. But if you teach them how to fish, they will eat for a lifetime, right? So we must provide training. Training helps your numbers, persistency, relationship building, and much more. When we do training, we're increasing production. We're eating lunch together, as we'll do here in a few minutes. And we're just creating the overall good. And everybody's working towards the greater good. So training doesn't have to be boring. It can be very productive. And last but not least, which I think is the most important thing that we need to understand on how we can build and grow and cultivate our relationships with our agents and grow them into a great producer, is the relationship that we have with them. My wife called me the other day and she said, Keith, I need to know who your best friends are. So I called Judy up at the front and I said, hey, Judy, do you have an agent roster? And she said, what do you need that for? I said, my wife needs to know who my best friends are. And I need you to pull down the whole agent roster because those are my best friends. Because I have a relationship with them. And this is the most important thing you can have. If you don't have a relationship with your field force, if you don't have a relationship with that guy you just brought on board and you don't know that guy, you can't expect him to stay there very long. Because I can tell you the number one reason why he will leave you is because he can have a relationship with the next guy or gal. Because he can see it in Brandon that Brandon cares. He needs to see it in you, or she needs to see it in you, that you truly care. And I'll close with this. And I just want I want to let this really hit home with you. And I want you to understand this. And I mean this with all of my heart. Scotty, 0 relationship between me and you equals 0 production. If we don't have a relationship, if we don't cultivate a bond, there's no way you can grow me into a good producer. 0 relationship is 0 production. So I want to encourage everybody to have a relationship. I hope these points sinked in. I hope you got something out of what I had to say today. And I want to say thank you to Scotty and the One Life team and the effort that you guys put together to enrich us on a day like today. We've had some amazing speakers, and I feel proud to be a part of it, and I can't wait for tonight. So thank you, and make it happen.